right, and it is 10 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get going. Welcome and thank you everyone for joining us this webinar Wednesday. My name is Sharon and I'm with SIPA, the Statewide Internet Portal Authority. Today's webinar is an exciting introduction to Tableau with Carissa Haley, the Enterprise Account Executive, and Kevin McKinney, the Principal Solution Engineer with Salesforce. Before we get started, please go ahead and turn on captioning if you need or desire to. And note that during this webinar, you are muted. If you have questions or would like to communicate with the presenters at any point during the webinar, please use the chat box or the Q&A feature. We will unmute everyone at the end for any remaining questions. We'll also have some poll questions for you to answer during the presentation and a post-webinar survey, and we deeply appreciate your feedback. Please welcome our guests, Carissa and Kevin. We greatly appreciate their time and look forward to what they have to share. Also on the call should hopefully be our Customer Success Director, Dwayne Tucker, and our Operations Specialist, Heather Nelson, if you have any questions for us. Thank you all for joining us again today. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Salesforce team.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. Welcome, everybody. Kevin, if you want to advance the slides here, we can start getting into the Tableau piece. Welcome. We're here to talk about Tableau. Tableau is an analytics platform. We are here to help you kind of see and understand your data. So let's go to the next one, Kevin. Yep, so we do have a forward-looking statement here we put in front of all of our Tableau presentations and Salesforce presentations. So again, we are going to be talking a little bit about what's next, some of the features and things that may not be, publicly known at this time. So I just want to make sure that this is in here for everybody to see. All right, next slide, please. And then thank you for your time. I know you all are very busy people. There's a lot going on in your day. So thank you for joining us and being here to learn about this today. All right, Sharon, if you want to pop up that poll question there. Yes, so we just want to get an idea of who all we're chatting to here. So please let us know if you have used Tableau in the past or are currently using Tableau, or if you're brand new here.
Oh, we have some quick answer people here. This is awesome.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it and show you the results.
All right. Perfect. That does help us here. So about 2/3 of you are brand new, know nothing about Tableau here. So let's talk a little bit about what Tableau is, what it does, and we'll go through, and Kevin will be sharing some demos with you, as well as going through some of our features that would help you get going and started here. So I just want to give a brief history of analytics and how things have evolved over time. So kind of pre-2003, right, there's always been that just traditional reporting of taking analytics out of one system, looking at something just based off of what maybe one database is telling you, or maybe what one spreadsheet was telling you. Just looking at that, making it very, report centric here. Some of these tools include like business objects, Cognos. If you've worked with that in the past, it's been a kind of a report center where somebody has had to go and say, hey, that was a really cool report, but I've got additional questions, or I want to see more information. You'd have to log a ticket, go back to the one or two people that know how to use the tool, and then get your information. And in some cases that could take weeks, right? So when Tableau came around, we really had this idea of, we want self-service analytics. We want a platform that is easy for the standard business user to use. So this is, kind of where we came in. And yes, there may be some very advanced reporting and things that people might need to do, but to get answers and to really look into Tableau, it is a very easy to use platform that our main users are really those business analysts and people, just looking to understand their business a little bit better. So we want to get rid of that report factory. We want you to be able to use the tool, answer your questions, make decisions to serve your constituents, and just make that time a lot shorter in order to get the answers that you're looking for. And then where we're headed in the future here is some predictive analytics. What are sort of the next best steps that you can do to, what is your data telling you, and what are the next best steps to maybe solve a problem that you're looking for? Something that we're working on in some other states here is, recidivism. What are we doing to make sure that people are not kind of going back to jail? What are the next best options to look at for people to say, hey, if we spent some more time with like psychological um, visits, or we helped with job placements, or we did other things, what would help that? So that is sort of where Tableau is going and some of the future that you can expect. All right, Kevin, next slide. So again, I just gave an example of maybe what a Department of Correction might be doing, but everybody is using data, right? It's right, how are we using it in baseball, right? Sports. What is the data telling us so that we know where to put our players? Who should we, put in against somebody else? Think about Netflix, right? What Netflix is always saying, here's a recommendation for you. Here's what you might want to see next. They're getting all that information and making those recommendations based on data. So it's all over the place, and really good for cities, counties, states, everybody to take a look and see what that data is telling you. And that, again, is where Tableau comes into play. Kevin, next slide. So yes, data is messy though. I'm not gonna lie, data is messy. It's all over the place. You may have good data, you may not have good data, depending on what you're looking at. So, it's a lot more than what can we do to look at this data, but how can we clean this data? How can we, make it so that it makes sense? And so that is one step of it. But then you also have, are my people ready to be able to look at Tableau, to look at a dashboard and understand what this data is telling them so that they can take action on that data? So two very different things that come together. Again, the data and the people. So Sharon, if you want to put up that next poll here too, do you consider your organization data driven?
All right, excellent. Thank you all for answering. Here are your results. Perfect. So I'm going to talk next a little bit about the platform itself. I know this can get to be a bit of an eyesore, so stay with me on this one. I'm going to start at the bottom here with this deploy anywhere. So Tableau can be deployed as a SaaS offering. If you just want to get up and get started and get going right away, this is the fastest way to make that happen. So again, there's nothing you have to do. There's no other costs that come with the SaaS offering. It's no upgrades that you would have to do to anything. You're just ready to plug and play and start going from there. If your data is more of a sensitive nature, you might have like a CGIS or FedRAMP compliance. We're not quite there with the SaaS offering, but that is on the roadmap, and it is what we are working towards with that. In the meantime, you are able to deploy it anywhere. So if you want to keep your data on-prem, or if you want to set up a Tableau server within AWS or any public cloud of your choice, that is options for you as well. So wherever your data is, we will meet you where that is today.
Um, kind of once you get that deployed, what do you do next? You connect to your data. So again, your data can be maybe in Excel sheets, or it could be in Salesforce, or it could be an Oracle database, a SQL database, all kinds of options. We've got over 100 connectors into the data. So you're able to get into that data and start, doing your visualizations. But before we do that, I'm going to go to that data management piece over here. Maybe you're looking to connect to maybe some Excel sheets, or you want to connect to an Oracle database and look at those things together. You're going to need to do some cleaning of that data. You're going to need to, get that ready so that you are able, at the next step here, analytics, start building those dashboards, right? Start building those different reports, start putting it all together so that if you filter on one report, the rest of your dashboard over here is going to do this. Kevin's going to go into this in a lot more detail when he does the demo here, but we've also got some AI ML features with that too. But then once you build a dashboard, it does no good to keep it to yourself. What do you do to share it with the rest of your team? What are you doing to give this information to your higher ups in city, county, states? What are you doing to just share it with your team? And that is where that Tableau server or Tableau cloud piece kind of comes together, is you get to share it with them. If you want some of that data may be sensitive, so you can pick and choose who you share this information with. But from there, you can take a look and say, hey, we're seeing a trend going up here. What's going on with this? Why do we think that's happening? Or, hey, there's a huge spike this day. Kevin, tell me what happened, right? What gives you just that ability to communicate, to set alerts, to just interact with your peers on what this data is saying. So in a nutshell, that's really the platform, right? Anywhere you want to put it, connecting into that data, cleaning that data, visualizing that data, and then sharing that data. So next slide here. And I'm just going to hit on a couple of these that might be of more interest to you over here. So I talked a little bit about Tableau Cloud over there on the top left, our SaaS offering. But I want to talk a little bit too about our Tableau embedded analytics. So our embedded analytics solution is for sharing information with the public. Right? If you have any sort of state mandates to share, maybe police data or maybe health data, what are those flu cases looking like this year, or what's going on? Or even budget data, right? A lot of people are saying, how are you spending your money? What are these projects going towards? So those are just some of the use cases. Kevin will get into some of the other use cases that people are using for public information, but we do have our, a solution that does allow you to give that guest user access and share that information with the public. I'm going to talk a little bit on the next one down in the middle right here on the data management. So with data management and Tableau, it would be, it's an add-on product, but this product does give you some more governance with this. So you have a data lineage, you're able to see sort of who has created this data source, what changes have they made, what's going on, is this an actual good data source to pull from, or is this a messy data source that we maybe cannot trust? It has data cataloging features as well, and also allows, as I talked about that data prep piece, it allows that to automatically refresh and with little work needed on your end to do that. So if governance is something you're concerned about, we can go into more details on the data management piece, but it is here for this. So those were the two that I really wanted to talk about that are more relevant to our public sector customers today. So next slide, Kevin. And then I'm going to talk just briefly here about our licensing structure with how this works. So we really break people up into three different roles. You're either a creator, an explorer, or a viewer. So the creators are those power users, those people who have that data prep functionality comes with these licenses. So those are the people who are really going and pulling the data sources, cleaning the data sources, creating those visualizations. Um, that explorer level is still a very powerful role. There's a lot that can be done with that. You don't get that data prep. You're not able to connect into, you know, all different kinds of data sources, but you are able to connect into, like, if a creator has created a data source and put it on Tableau Cloud or put it on a Tableau server, you're able to connect into that. You're able to build dashboards, edit dashboards. So if somebody's created something and you're like, this is great, but I want to see a little bit more information, or I want to pull in another factor to this, you're able to go in and answer those questions. And then that last role is a viewer. Those are people who want to come in and just view this data. They don't want to create dashboards or anything. They just want to come in, take a look, interact with that data, interact with like the discussions that I talked about earlier. If there are questions around, the data and what it's telling you, you still get all of that piece of it. You're still able to set up, a subscription. So you can say, I want to get this dashboard delivered to my email at 8 a.m. every morning so I can look at this. That's still a powerful role, but it doesn't give you that ability to build anything or do anything. So those are the role-based. The server-based options from like what we call an 8-core server. We still have these roles applicable above, but this is more of if you want to do like a citywide, countywide, department-wide solution. You creator licenses would still need to be purchased, but you would get unlimited explorer and viewer licenses. So that helps you really, you're not limited on who you're able to share that data with, right? Those are free, included in this licensing structure here. So if there's any questions, I can always get into that a little bit deeper on that, but very high level, these are the roles that we put everybody into. So next slide, Kevin. Right. No, now I will pass it over to Kevin. He's going to do a demo and talk a little bit about the connections that we've got here, a little bit about accessibility, and show you some dashboards here. So I'll be in the chat if anybody has any questions as Kevin's running through this.
Thank you, Carissa. So let's jump over into my Tableau cloud environment. So I have a number of different published resources in here, and I'm going to be kind of taking on the role of one of those explorer class users that Carissa was describing. I have a data set here that is looking at a number of different incident reports that I have to deal with. Many of our organizations, whether you're a police department, a city council, a university, etc., will have to deal with incident reports of a variety of different kinds. In this case, the incident reports that we're looking at are from the FAA. The FAA wildlife strike incidents. We're going to take a look at a couple of these and see what working with Tableau as an explorer looks like. So here I'm in the web editor for Tableau Cloud, and I have connected to my data source for my incident reports. I would like to look at my group of organizations or entities that produce incidents. In this case, it's airlines, but it could be just about anybody. I'm going to grab my airline operators, and I am going to look at the number of incidents that I have in my data set here. Now I have a tool here called Show Me that helps me quickly see what kind of visualizations that I can put together with the two pieces of information that I've selected. In this case, Show Me is recommending a bar chart, but these other highlighted chart types are just as easy for me to select. I can pick through the various different charts to see what my data looks like. But I'm going to go with the recommendation here. Let me go ahead and hide that menu, and let's sort our data. So I have a lot of entities in this data set. I'd like to filter some of my entities. I've got a couple of different categories here that I can use to filter my data. I'm most interested in my domestic air carriers and the ones here in the United States. Here I can see a variety of different air carriers that are producing incident reports. We can see the incident report numbers there: 2,386, 1,404. This is all really helpful information for me to understand how many incidents are being generated by these different organizations. However, there's more to the story than just this information. I have the number of incidents, but I can't really tell how many of these incidents are severe. I have another data set here, cost of repairs. Now, for my data here, cost of repairs is an indication of severity. Let's take a look at this data when we look at the average cost of repairs. In this case, these two carriers really jump out, indicating a high cost of repairs, especially when we consider some of the other carriers. I'd like to have more information about this. I'm going to select American Airlines here, and I'm going to go over here to my data guide to see if it's going to give me some more information. The data guide includes our explain data function. These explanations help us to understand what is driving the measures that we're seeing in our selection. In this case, it's showing that our average cost of repairs is unusually high. It's also indicating that our number of incidents is high. But this was the thing that caught my attention. So let's go a little deeper. Now, Tableau has done a statistical analysis of all of this data. This is an example of those AI and ML integrations into Tableau. What it's done is it's taken the information about the cost of repairs and the number of incidents, and it's compared that data to all of the different measure values and dimensions that we have in our data set. And it's identified some underlying characteristics and contributing dimensions that help us to understand why this value is the way that it is. It's suggesting that there is a really high underlying value of a 400 million or $41 million. It's also suggesting that there are contributing dimensions such as the aircraft type, the number of affected animals, and even the airport ID. Let's go into this single extreme value and see what it shows us. Here we get a summary of all of the information automatically generated by Tableau. It's indicated that for this data set of American Airlines, that there is a single extreme value. Let's go ahead and generate this as a visualization. This chart is now something that we can manipulate in Tableau. If I look here, this is a filter that indicates that we're just looking at American Airlines, domestic carriers, and domestic passengers. If I pull this filter off, I now have all of my airlines, including American, and we can see that there is another outlier. But there were some other contributing characteristics that I want to consider. For example, the species involved in these incidents. If we bring in additional dimensions, we get more nuance to our data, such as the species involved in the incident. And we can even select these values from our tooltips to see where else we see that characteristic. So this is helping us to understand what is going on in our data. Finally, I can pull out other descriptive elements, such as the incident report remarks, to gather more information. In this case, we get in our tooltip the incident report. In this case, FAA Flight 3000, where they incurred multiple bird strikes involving Canada geese, and they were forced to land in the Hudson River. Aha, now I understand where this mark has come from. This is an example of the miracle on the Hudson, where Sully Sullenberger landed his aircraft after it was disabled by the bird strike. There were no fatalities and only one minor injury. But they had to fish the plane out of the Hudson River, which was why it was so expensive. Now that we understand what has happened with this data and what is going on with our information, we can provide additional context to leaders who might be interested in, for example, mitigating bird strikes around New York for Canada geese, or other mitigating factors for things like bald eagles or red-tailed hawks. We can design a methodology for supporting our goal of reducing these incidents using the data that we've collected. This is just one example of the way that Tableau can help organizations see and understand their data in real and meaningful ways. So we've done this demonstration, and I wanted to take a moment now to talk about how organizations all over the United States, in this case, state and local governments, but we also have examples of this from education, from the private sector, et cetera, are using data to help meet the needs of their customers, constituents, students, teachers, et cetera. If we just look at Colorado, for example, we can see all of the myriad of use cases that we're aware of where they're using Tableau to communicate about a variety of different things, such as automobile accidents from the Department of Transportation, opioid analytics from the Department of Public Health and Environment, or collections of resources from the city of Denver. Lots of great use cases. And if we click into any one of these, we can see just what CDPHE is doing with their data. Lots of great resources here for them to talk about the state of public health in Colorado. Now, these examples are great. It's really helpful to see what your organization's peer entities and agencies are doing. But sometimes when you're just getting started, it's helpful to have a collection of resources to help you explore the possibilities of what you can do inside of your organization. And that's where our accelerators come in. Accelerators are pre-built Tableau dashboards that can be used, that can be plugged directly into your data. So in this case, let's take a look at education data sets, such as academic admissions. Here we have a collection of dashboards that help us look at a high level, what is the admission rate for our institution? For, in this case, specific types of attendance or specific types of students. I can check this out in a demonstration. I can see how the pieces are put together. And then I can download this and start to integrate this into my admissions data set. I even have a list of all of the different KPIs and required attributes that I need to plug this into my this dashboard into my data set in order to get real, meaningful data out of my collection. And academic admissions is just one example. The Tableau Exchange for accelerators is full of really valuable resources for a variety of different business unit needs, from specific public sector use cases to back office information such as finance or HR, marketing, and other resources in here. So I highly encourage anybody who's interested in exploring what the possibilities of Tableau might mean for their organization to take a look at our accelerators. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about one of the most meaningful components of communicating with data, and that's accessibility. Tableau has come a long way in our ability to make data more and more accessible to a wider variety of audiences, including our ability to work with screen readers, to work with multiple languages, to work with a variety of different abilities to interact with data, up to and including our data stories capability, which automatically creates dynamic text information descriptions of the visualizations in a chart, so that there's more and more abilities for your community of consumers to be able to see and understand their data. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Carissa for us to wrap up.
Thanks, Kevin. I just put in a couple of links into the chat here that go into a lot more detail on how to build your dashboards to be more accessible. And it looks like Kevin's got that pulled up here. So yeah, this walks through how to do all of that. And those are in the chat. So if you need those, go ahead and bookmark those. All right, Kevin, you want to go back into the presentation here? Yeah, so again, we'll share these slides with anybody that might want to see them. There's this Tableau Across America link that Kevin walked you all through here. We also have one for Tableau use cases in education. So depending on if you are state, local, or education here, you're able to kind of go through and take a look at what all of these, your peers are doing and making public facing. Again, if anything is internal to them, it won't be on this website, obviously, but just a place to go to get some inspiration or just check out what your peers are doing across the US. All right, so I think with that, we're done. There's one more polling question. Just what would you like to learn about next? Just some more analytics best practices. You want us to talk more about maybe some data prep, how we get to clean some of that data. If you want to learn more about governance or potentially mapping with Tableau, those are our kind of hot topics these days. So we just want to see where you're at and what you might want to learn more.
All right, looks like we've got all of our answers, and here they are. Right. I've also unmuted everyone, or set it so that everyone can unmute if you have any questions that you'd like to ask at this point. Looks like we got a pretty equal representation there on requests, Carissa.
Yes, we do. All right. Any questions that we can answer? Anything we can dive into a little bit more with anybody?
Oh, let's see. The links only went to hosts and panelists. Let me put those up for everyone.
Okay, sorry. We don't use Zoom here. I need some.
Not that. Copy. There's one. And here's the other. Thank you for mentioning that, Beth. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sharon, for
absolutely. There we go. You are most welcome.
Yeah, and then my information is here if you need to get in touch with me, and Kevin is here as well. So any questions that come up, um, later on or at any time, this is our contact information. So please, don't hesitate to reach out. Or I know both Beth and Sharon are great at SIPA here. They can help direct traffic and get everything to us as well.
Absolutely, we can. We'd be happy to schedule a follow-up call if you want to learn some more, get, deeper dive into a demo. So give us a holler if you're interested. So yeah, looks like we're wrapping up for the day. And if you do want to return to this webinar or share it with a colleague or your boss, say, hey, I would really like to explore getting this. We'll be getting this up on our video, this video up on our YouTube channel, hopefully by tomorrow. I have to wait for Zoom to get it down and then process. So we'll be sending out an email about that and a post-webinar survey that we would love for you to fill out to let us know how we did and what else you'd like to learn about in the future. Don't forget also our 11th annual SIPA user conference is coming up September 20th, and registration is now open for that. So we would love to see you all there. Please go to our website and go to the user conference page to register. It's no cost at all to attend. Full day of great tracks and presentations, personal and professional development. And we got Carl Mecklenburg from the Denver Broncos as our keynote speaker. So it's going to be awesome. One last thing, subscribe to our monthly newsletter for announcements of our future webinars and any updates, some good resources and information, accessibility, cybersecurity, events that are going on. We try and get it out there for you. We are really grateful that you joined us for today and spent your time with us. Thank you so much, and we will hopefully see you at the next webinar that we have. And I'll reach out to you, Shamel, to find out more. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.